Are you ready to unlock the power of data for your career? And is ethical AI on your radar? Now, how do data teams translate information into cases for decisions? And how you can bridge the gap between technical and non-technical teams? Well, that's all coming up today. Because today we're going to meet Nicolas, who's the founder and CEO of UE, an industry leader with a track record of transforming companies through the power of data. So get ready for a data revelation like no other. Coming up in today's episode, bridging teams. We're also going to be talking about understanding data teams, case building, and data literacy for everyone else, and data strategies and governance, and lastly, data ethics and responsible AI, and all of them in how they can help your data career. Now, you've certainly had an interesting career in the data space, from software engineering to data analytics, and later client-facing roles. Now, I'm really excited to discuss what data teams should do to transform an organization. But with all this in mind, the first thing I want to know is, what was the motivation and inspiration to create UE in the marketplace?
So I always enjoyed having that kind of balance, about making software, but seeing how it goes live and how people adopt that and how it's actually solving a problem. And anyway, all that time let's say in IT and software, I saw the same pattern, which is on one hand, you have IT people, smart people who build nice stuff and kind of overlook the business problem or the business need. They focus on building technical things. And on the other hand, you have business people who kind of focus on their business stuff and really overlook business technical problem. And so you have this kind of great divide between those two people, and basically they don't understand each other and don't talk to each other, and that creates a lot of friction or inability, to do stuff in organization. So, and basically that realization or that repeating pattern that is at the core or origin of why I created UE initially, to kind of fill that gap between the business and IT, how you make the link between technical and non-technical people, how you make the link between the strategic decisions and the way you deliver them, how you make the link between business value on one hand and the risk or the cost on the other hand.
With all of your behind-the-scenes software development and client-facing experience, what would you say is your thoughts, and what are your thoughts on data strategies, data governance, and how data teams can really get this right?
Yeah, so one thing I like to start with that I don't like so much to focus purely on data strategy, because, and I think that's most of the time a mistake, because it's kind of a bottom-up approach. People focus on data itself and how you can make your data quality plans and data governance plans and so on. And the challenge there is that many times it's done in isolation from the business strategy or from the value you want to deliver from that. So it has to be like a data and AI strategy or a business strategy infused with data and AI. So you need to embed in that use cases, initiatives, things, so that then you really articulate whatever you do with, where should you focus your data governance effort? What should you prioritize in terms of data quality? What does it mean to have the right level of quality? So it could look, if you don't do that, as a kind of an endless quest, and then you hear that, on many people complaining about it's hard to sell data governance to executives. And it is, for good reasons, because in a way, if you don't know how to articulate that with how is it going to serve the business, with concrete use cases and so on, it's really tough. And so you need to start with what value you want to achieve, and then go back to, then this is where I need to focus, what I need to achieve in terms of governance, and how do I design a governance process that is serving those purposes.
So you're saying the data team should have deeper understanding of the business requirements and the business needs to enable stronger cases around the data. Am I right?
So yes, you need to have the technical team nearer, or at least that the goal that they should, what it means for them to achieve success is clearly defined, So then, meaning I am improving the quality of that data set to enable that use case. And then, when you have your mission accomplished and you can congratulate yourself. If you just say, my goal is to improve the completeness of the data by 80% or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. So you reach that, and no one will congratulate you for that, because it's kind of a, would say, a vanity metrics or something that is kind of disconnected to, yes, it's nice, but is it good? Is it useful?
That's great. But what about data literacy and communicating data literacy? What are your thoughts on these areas?
Again, I've seen a lot of cases where the data literacy program was disconnected to usage. It was like a massive program where you train people on things and you track, how many people you train, and it didn't work, or it doesn't work. So I really believe data literacy has to be actually part of the data and AI strategy. Meaning, you define what you want to achieve, what are your business goals and what are your use cases. And part of that, you can identify data literacy needs. It's part of your capabilities. Do you have them? Don't you have them? Should you train those people? And it's also about building adoption. Then you need to work very early on in the workflow of those products with who are going to be my users. What does it mean for them to use that? And what should I train them on? And then it becomes really impactful, because first, they understand why they need to be trained. And second, they're going to put that training in use, right afterwards. So they can actually consolidate on that training, because we all know, it's the training itself doesn't work if you don't have repetition or make that in practice just in the way. So I believe that the data literacy program can't be just, a big academic program that is sitting there in the organization, but more something that needs to be articulated and kind of tailored to support the deployment roadmap of the different products that you want to build. It can be data products and, training people, like marketing people on doing some specific use case. So if you work with them on use cases, then you can avoid a bit of the, FUD, that goes around that, like, oh, you need to be data literate and so on. And you don't have to be that stress for people. Just saying, hey, you need to use data. It's going to bring you great benefits. So let's do something concrete that makes sense for you. And then, you'll grow from there.
Fantastic. But how does this information play into, let's say, the hype around AI and your thoughts around data ethics and responsibility using AI tools?
At the beginning, you need to, again, build those bridges, and then you need to walk the path between those two, more data people who don't really understand all of the business, and business people who don't understand all of the data. And that's really true when you start moving into ethics or responsible AI, because it's not a technical problem. It starts with a business problem, but there are implications. So this is actually a complex topic, because you need to have a really good common understanding to be able to assess that, and not to be blocked with either, oh no, we can't do anything because, whatever. So then it could be a very protective thing. So again, it's really important to have that bridge, and again, having built that literacy and so on, so to have clarity on, okay, we have a good business idea, what are the implications, and what are the risks that we put behind, and the responsibility behind it also, the how do we want to do business, and there is kind of an ethical stand behind that. There is a regulation part, and there is a ethical stance, who you want to be and how you want to deal with your clients and so on. And so you need to factor that, because that will be the guidelines also you give to your data team in terms, okay, based on that assumption, can we do something? Is it still going to be valuable? And then, you have kind of back and forth toward that. And so there is a lot of ways to, kind of build checklists and guidelines to help building those common frame, to compare initiatives together, and to has the support for that discussion. But at the end, it's a discussion between, a lot of different factors to find the right balance between, okay, what's technically doable? Is it matching our ethical stand? Is it matching our regulatory obligations? Is it matching the value we want to deliver, etc.?
Well, it's a fascinating topic to discuss. But before we wrap up, I just want to know one last thing. If we view AI as a tool, like we would say Excel or Word, there isn't a lot of discussions about the responsibilities of these tools for data. So what is the driving force behind treating AI differently?
It's a good point because I think so one part is fear, because we see technology that is doing impressive things. So people fear about what that thing is going to do. And I think that fear is building on the fear that was already existing around big data, way before AI. The big data era raised a lot of questions about ethics around, ethical capture, ethical use of data. And so I think the first state there was, has been done by Europe around GDPR. And GDPR was nothing else than ethical and responsible use of data, personal data, but data, because that's where the most ethical and responsible question were coming from. Do I have the right to use your data for what, and so on. So for me, it's the foundation comes from there. It's really about ethical and responsible use of data, and of course, AI on top of that. Raise a question, on what it's trained and so on. So that's one end. The second end is linked to and it's a green concern. Maybe it was not there or not so much here 10 years ago. It's about environmental impact, So people are very concerned about that for good reasons. And so because there is that understanding that big data was consuming a lot of computing resources, but AI is like another scale of that. So then the question is, are we putting that resource consumption for a good purpose? And there has been also a lot of, mistakes with AI in the past. So yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a lot of mistakes like that have built that, that need for that, because there have been non-ethical and non-responsible use of data and AI in the world. So
I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode. And if you want to connect with Nicolas, he's on LinkedIn, so you can stay updated with him with all the latest in data and AI. And don't forget to check out our episode with Bhavik Patel, where we dive into the world of data-driven transformations. It's not just a way to revolutionize your career, it's an industry game changer. Bhavik is really awesome. I'd like to thank my friends at Amplitude for partnering with me to produce today's episode. And from me, Ross Webb, until next time, bye for now.